And because the government cannot repay the debt within the short term, it is forced to refinance the debt by issuing more securities. So the rich who can buy the securities hold the American taxpayer in perpetual debt, as the debt is continually being refinanced. The taxpayers become the slaves to the debt held by the rich in the country and the rich abroad. About 1/3 of the total federal debt is financed by surpluses in other government agencies and accounts, such as Social Security, railroad retirement insurance, and pension funds. This means that a check is written by the government against the excess money in government accounts. A check is written against the accounts that were set up for the people who worked hard all their lives so they would have something to live on when they retired. Now the government is spending your retirement money. The government is spending your pension funds. You better listen. Some of you have reached 65. Many of us are hoping by paying our taxes that when we reach 65, we'll get a check once a month that will allow us to at least buy some cat food or dog food. Not for the cat, not for the dog, but for ourselves. It's getting that bad. Now, even the future is in jeopardy because America has to write checks against what it had promised to set aside for the future of its people. So when Perot says America has mortgaged its future, he's not lying. You don't have a future if the economy continues as it is going. Please listen. You, the common taxpayer of America, you can't save, you can't invest, because taxes eat up what little disposable income the people have. These taxes are needed to cover government spending. The United States of America now has the lowest savings and investment rates of any of the industrialized countries of the world. The national savings rate in America is 15% of the gross national product, while Japan's is nearly 35%. Most households save nothing. In fact, most households are in debt, barely making it from paycheck to paycheck, as credit card debt in America is approaching $1 trillion. Supply-side economics has not trickled down better wages, employment opportunities, better schools, better roads, affordable housing, safer streets, and health care. No. These are all the things that were promised under Reaganomics, with Bush at the helm. Each year, America finishes with a trade deficit of about $100 billion. So over the past decade, the trade deficit has accumulated to $1 trillion. Meaning that America has been importing $1 trillion more in goods than she is exporting. Now listen, if you are eating more than you are passing out, they call that in the physical anatomy constipation. When you get filled, and you're still taking in and nothing too much going out, you have a problem. In fact, if you don't unclog and quick, it's a case for the friendly undertaker. When America is importing $1 trillion more than she is exporting, the country is sick economically. How do these things affect black people, poor people? Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Y'all all right? It's going to be a different kind of lecture, but you just bear with me. The country is in a state of severe unemployment and poverty. And this condition is not getting better, it's worsening. The cost of living has placed the American dream beyond the reach of the majority of the American people. About 10 million Americans over age 16 are jobless. And every week the figure climbs. This figure does not include those who have dropped out of the labor market and are no longer seeking jobs. Black people make up 20% of the unemployed, and a large percentage of those who have dropped out of the job market or stopped looking for jobs altogether. And this proportion has been the same for us since the 1960s. Though the population has increased, there were more people employed in 1989 than there are in 1992. Millions of workers have been displaced by plant closings and relocations in foreign markets, such as Mexico, where labor cost is a fraction of U.S. labor costs. Since 1980, over 2 million manufacturing jobs have vanished in America, while at the same time the adult population has risen 11%. If you can get a job, you become one of the working poor. This is because most of the job openings are in low-skilled positions that pay only the minimum wage. The average real wage is lower today than 20 years ago, meaning that the check you bring home today buys less than it did 20 years ago. Now, I want you to pay good attention to these figures. Once the figures are in your head, they begin to send a clear signal telling us what has to be done by black leaders and by black people if we're going to survive. Listen to this. In 1989, the top 4% of America's families and individuals earned as much as half the country's working labor wages put together. I want to say that again. The top 4% families and individuals, that means the super rich 4%, earned as much as 1/2 of all of the labor force and their wages put together. That is immoral. That the gross labor of half of the labor force, just 4% of America's wealthy, are getting more than half the people who are working combined. And President Bush has the nerve to come before the American people and talk about he is for the masses, he's for family value, he's for education. Do you believe that? I want to make it clear. You can vote for Beelzebub. You can vote for Satan. You can vote for the 4 beasts of Revelations. You can vote for the devil. Any one of these votes will get you hell. I'm not here advocating voting for one evil above another so that the voter can say, well, we took the lesser evil. Hell, it's time to give up taking evil and find something good that you can put your vote on.